We always focus on the horrible things mankind has induced. But there's good in everyone. And if we can harness that genuine goodness, what's gold in all of us, then maybe it will lead us to a brighter tomorrow, a future for us and our children to come.
Open your heart.
Open your ears.
Open your mind.
And listen.
Remember me, or I have died in vain. Remember me, before you go to war again. Remember me, when rain has washed the crimson fields away. Remember me.
Things started to run bad, to get bad in that big compound area. There were thousands of people there.
And you were all crammed in together?
Oh, there was like a United Nations affair thing all there with one another. And things started to get rough.
What do you mean, in what kinds of ways?
Well, there's certain things that I don't want to talk about.
What
things
can you
were
talk
a little too rough.
A lot of people want to intentionally forget it because it was so harrowing. Because like I tell the kids, if you don't remember anything what I told you today, as long as you remember these 3 or 4 little words, war is hell.
I know myself personally, sometimes I like having somebody listen to me, because now you don't know how long you're going, or when you're coming back, or if you're coming back. It's not something easy you can let your family know.
We hear stories of destruction, corruption, and efforts to save our humanity, then find ourselves lost in this insanity. Have we forgotten that we are all simply children trying to grow?
My father, Charlie, wouldn't talk much about his father. He'd just tell us that his father died of mental wounds. After he died, I did some research to find out more about my grandfather that he wouldn't talk about. His name was Lewis, and I found out that he had 2 brothers. And I heard that they all fought at Vimy Ridge, and one of the brothers died over there. Being Mi'kmaq, they didn't have to go to the war. Conscription didn't apply to them, but they wanted to fight for Canada. So they all signed up. My grandfather, Lewis, who was underage, they had to lie about his age so he could go with his 2 brothers. But I heard that they were told that if they went to war for Canada, things would be good when they came home. I heard that my grandfather was buried in the Catholic cemetery just up St. Philip Street in Bridgewater, not too far from where I live today. I could never find his grave. I later found out that because he was a Mi'kmaq, they would not allow him to be buried inside the cemetery fence.
Ton nom, c'est le nom de tous ceux qui, malgré qu'ils soient malheureux, croient en l'amour et qui espèrent.
War takes more from women than tales of battlefield glory will ever relate. Nobody writes heroic poems or plays about what we women endure while the men create heroic victory.
Tonight is an acknowledgement of peace, when we will pay tribute and celebrate the huge contribution of Canada's Aboriginal peoples, African Canadians, women, youth, merchant marines, and all the other veterans who gave so much in both world wars, as well as the conflicts and peacekeeping missions that have taken place since then, and in Afghanistan today.
All right, this poem is called Unsung Heroes. This poem is for unsung heroes. Black and brown soldiers forgotten line by line where poppies are sold, and row by row in Flanders field where poppies grow, as if their blood doesn't equally soak its petals. This is for the unsung heroes of the No. 2 Construction Battalion, those brave young men who cross states and provinces to enlist in an army whose first rule of recruitment is that all men must be white, to die for a country that still doesn't believe they exist. This is for those unsung heroes, those Black Scotians, our brothers who traveled to Pictou and Truro to serve in a segregated non-combative unit. This is for those unsung heroes who were denied the right to fight for a country that denied them their human rights daily. This is for those unsung heroes refused passage on boats carrying white soldiers off to war. The 600 Black volunteers who survived sub-infested waters and arrived on shore to once again be a source of free labor. This is for those unsung heroes that couldn't serve on the front line, but could serve the front line by repairing roads, carrying supplies, and cutting trees for railway ties. They defused landmines and dug trenches. They carried the wounded and strung stretches of barbed wire fences. They risked their lives behind enemy lines, dodging enemy fire and inhaling mustard gas. They didn't receive masks. They were the last on the supply line and were even denied medical attention and left to die. They were accused of faking sick. They were called lazy and unfit, but they continued to break production records.
In 1909, I was a world champion, a long distance runner. But I gave it all up. I needed to fight for my country. I volunteered.
I joined the Merchant Navy in 1941. I was only 15. I lied about my age. They only recognized us as veterans in 2001.
I was a WAC, and I drove a truck for the military through London during the bombings. Talk about terrifying.
I was in the Second World War, but they didn't want me in Victory March in Paris because they didn't want me in photographs.
I was the youngest of 8 children. I always wanted to be a nurse. I was sent to France to the war.